When I was 5 months pregnant, my husband's ex pushed me down the stairs, causing me to lose the baby on the spot. Bleeding profusely, I was almost dying, yet that woman warned me without a trace of remorse. No one was allowed to give birth to a child for my brother without her permission. Later, I pretended to be weak, and my husband led her to kneel down and apologize to me. When my husband came to the hospital, I had just finished the surgery. The sharp pain in my lower abdomen made me realize that my child was really killed by someone. The one who pushed me down the stairs turned out to be my husband's ex, Daisy. Daisy not only showed no remorse afterwards but also flaunted intimate photos with my husband on social media. Her caption was full of irony. Once a man has smelled the fragrance of roses, how could he fall in love with mint leaves? Some women who are overconfident can never compete with me. After pushing me down the stairs, she pretended to fall down herself. When my husband Leo arrived, he just glanced at me indifferently, then turned around to pick her up and rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, I was lying in a pool of blood, in excruciating pain, and could only watch that scene unfold before my eyes. At that moment, I finally understood that in my husband's heart, I could never compare to that woman. Leo sat by my hospital bed, exhaustion evident in his eyes. I turned my back to him, not wanting to look at him. Suddenly, he embraced me from behind and kissed my hair. I smelled the unique perfume belonging to Daisy on him, and suddenly remembered the fierce and wicked face Daisy had when she pushed me down the stairs. Anger surged in my heart, and I pushed Leo's hand away, questioning him. Didn't you wish for my death? What are you doing here? He put on a hurt look and said to me, I'm sorry, Diana, we will still have children. People say loving a man too much leads to unhappiness. Throughout the years of marriage with Leo, I almost regarded him as my everything, always accommodating him. He, on the other hand, took advantage of my love, callously manipulating and hurting me. I used to endure everything, but this time, I was utterly disappointed. Let's get a divorce, Leo. After saying this, I felt Leo pause as he held me, then suddenly he flipped me over and started kissing me like a madman. The pain in my lower abdomen was unbearable, and I had no strength to push him away. Perhaps seeing me cry, Leo's thoughts returned, frantically wiping my tears. Diana, don't divorce me. We will have children, everything will be okay, we will not divorce. He repeated this over and over, and as I watched his bewildered expression, I felt utmost irony. That night, Daisy came to the hospital room to see me. She was wearing the white shirt I had knitted for Leo, cinched at her waist with a slim Hermes belt, paired with tight jeans, long and straight legs, and wearing my Jimmy Choo high heels. Clearly, she was not here to apologize. She glanced at the parenting book in my hand, looked at me mockingly, and said, Diana, your feet were so swollen during pregnancy, it's a pity these shoes don't fit you anymore, so Leo gave them to me. Her words made me seethe with anger, and I threw the book in my hand at her, shouting, Get out. Is this why you're angry? If you knew how Leo has taken care of me all these years, you would be even more furious. Daisy chuckled wildly, boasting about how Leo had been with her privately all these years. I learned that during Leo's business trips, he spent most of his time with Daisy. Every holiday, he would give her gifts. Every month when she had menstrual cramps, he would stay up all night preparing hot water for her. However, Leo initially married me just to spite her. But Leo knew how thrilled I was to marry him back then. Daisy's actions had seriously affected my health, which was not conducive to my recovery after surgery, so I stayed in the hospital for over half a month. During this time, Leo visited me every day. Whenever he made a mistake, he would act like nothing had happened, return to my side, and pretend to be affectionate with me. One day, I couldn't bear it anymore and asked him, Leo, when you chose to save her, did you ever think that I might lose my life too? Our child was 5 months old and already formed, but because she didn't allow me to give birth, the child is gone. Did you never think of holding her accountable? Leo remained silent, just hugging me silently. He knew Daisy's actions constituted a crime. As long as evidence was collected for prosecution, Daisy would not escape legal sanctions. Leo knew all of this. But he chose to do nothing. I knew he couldn't bear the thought of losing Daisy. So he would rather pacify me to avoid any pursuit. Leo thought he knew me well, assuming this time would be no different from before. As long as he acted humble and laid the groundwork for me, I would forgive everything as if nothing had happened. But I was no longer the naive little girl who fooled herself. The day I was discharged, Leo personally came to pack my things. It seemed like he had come straight from the office, still wearing a sharp suit with the sleeves rolled up a bit. In those mesmerizing peach blossom eyes of his, there was always a doting smile, captivating the young nurses. A handsome husband with money and affection. Those who didn't know the truth envied me. However, only I knew that my marriage with Leo was as difficult as enduring oil. I didn't want to see him for even a second. That day, I pushed Leo away and went to the hotel where the incident happened. I was determined to retrieve all the surveillance footage, gather evidence, and send Daisy to jail. Unfortunately, the footage of Daisy pushing me down the stairs had not been captured, not even the scene of me lying in a pool of blood. I tried to find witnesses, but it seemed like everyone in the hotel had conspired in advance, as no one remembered the day a pregnant woman fell down the stairs, almost losing her life in a pool of blood. Leo was indeed capable. For Daisy, he could go to great lengths. On the deserted long street, Leo blocked the car in front of me. He came down, looking tall and erect in a well-tailored suit. I was about to run away when he saw through everything, walked over, and pulled me into his arms. His short-tailed cat from the car jumped on my lap. It was the cat I adopted before getting pregnant. After I got pregnant, Leo temporarily sent it to a pet shop for care. Now the child is gone, and I hold my cat tightly, stroking it unconsciously gently, but in my mind, I can't help but think, how nice it would be if my child were still here. Leo looked at me, leaned over to kiss my hair. Diana, I put some flowers you like in our bedroom, and I moved the cat's nest from the balcony to your bedroom. Babe will make you happy in the future. Babe is the name I gave to the cat. Our honeymoon house is a small duplex, in a very good location and not cheap. If I hadn't heard from Daisy that Leo bought this house to help her meet her job targets at the real estate agency, I wouldn't have felt disgusted. I was stubborn and didn't get out of the car. I didn't even look at Leo. I told him, I plan to move out. After I finish the divorce agreement, I will send it to you. Let's part ways amicably. Leo leaned against the car door, the setting sun shining into his eyes. His eyes couldn't hide the sadness. He held my hand and whispered softly, honey, please don't be difficult. I won't let you leave. I have to admit, in this marriage, Leo knows how to handle situations better than me. If I get angry, he will always coax me. His humble appearance, like a kite willingly being held in my hand. I couldn't help but wonder if the reckless days were because I didn't restrict him, didn't pull him back. Is this situation now my fault? After all, I love him so much. Even if he can't let go of Daisy, even if under the constraints of marriage and male responsibility, he shouldn't betray me. But the harsh reality slapped me in the face. When I started packing up things at home, I realized there were a lot of them. The walk-in closet was full of my clothes, the shoe cabinet was full of my shoes, even the kitchen utensils were my favorite brands. There were too many things to move all at once. I just packed some essentials. When I was about to leave with my suitcase, Leo grabbed my hand again and blocked me at the door. The sad look in his eyes showed helplessness. Honey, you don't sleep well. I'm afraid you won't be comfortable in a new place. He's always thoughtful. Unfortunately, this thoughtfulness is not exclusive to me. I pushed him away in annoyance. Leo, I'm moving out because I find this place disgusting. Leo's eyes paused, explaining helplessly, Diana, this is our honeymoon house. I promise nothing disgusting has happened here. Please don't make a scene. He reached out to hug me, nuzzling my neck with his jaw. Are you willing to leave, babe? You know I can't take care of pets. I pushed him away with disgust. He seemed angry and tried to kiss me, but I turned my face away to dodge. Leo's breathing became uneven. Honey, I won't let you go. I got angry. I slapped him. In the struggle, I didn't expect that I would faint. When I woke up, I was already lying in the bedroom. The cat leaned against my wrist, sleeping. I reached out to stroke its fur habitually. It meowed twice, rubbing its face against my fingers. Suddenly I felt like crying, not sure why. feeling empty inside, as if I had lost something very important, but I couldn't remember what it was. There was a cautious knock on the door. The maid walked in with food, looking at me with a complex expression. "Ms. Diana, these are your favorite dishes. The master asked me to make sure you eat them, or he will deduct my salary." Leo knows how to manipulate people. His threats didn't work on me, so he threatened others to restrain me. I called him to warn him about our situation, not to involve others, but to my surprise, a woman answered the phone. Daisy's voice came through. "Leo is in the shower, tell me what you want." She sounded so self-assured, not taking me seriously at all. Perhaps because in the past, out of consideration for Leo's fondness for her, I tolerated her again and again, giving her the illusion that she could easily manipulate me. But now I have decided to let go of Leo. I intend to reclaim all the grievances I have suffered before. I went to the hotel under Leo's name and learned from the staff that there was a room that was never open to the public. When I pushed open the door angrily, Leo was wearing a white bathrobe, standing in front of a huge glass wall, looking at me somewhat shocked. He didn't expect me to find him here. Without saying a word, I slapped him. Leo was stunned by my blow and took a while to recover. He licked his lip, blood dripping from the corner of his mouth. Leo could have stopped me. Like before, he could have held my wrist and not let me proceed. But this time he didn't. He took my slap solidly. Then he looked at me with that face that used to captivate me but now seemed uninteresting, revealing endless sadness and pain in his eyes. His abused posture made it seem like I had hurt him. I regained some rationality and started to survey the room. For a long time, I was tired of the feeling of knowing that Leo had done everything, yet I couldn't catch him in the act. I asked him, "Leo, if you don't divorce me, how can you make room for her? If you have a child in the future, do you plan to make that child a bastard?" Perhaps my words were too harsh on Leo, or maybe he was already very angry from being slapped earlier. Leo violently dragged me into the bedroom, tearing my clothes. I don't know how long passed. I was dizzy from the spinning ceiling and nauseous from his breath. Leo arrogantly held my chin, towering over me. "Diana, we will have a child, and once we do, you won't cause any trouble." He always speaks so eloquently. In just a few words, he shifts all our conflicts to me being unreasonable. I'm starting to dislike Leo's smell more and more. I stormed into the bathroom to take a shower. When I picked up a pink towel to wrap around myself, I froze. I never liked pink. Pink was Daisy's favorite. Yet in the bathroom hung pink towels, pink slippers, and a whole drawer of women's toiletries. These things were clearly not new. They had been used. My husband had already started another family right under my nose with another woman in a daze. The towel in my hand slipped to the ground, and a dull pain struck my chest, making it hard to even breathe. At the hotel office, I printed the divorce agreement, and the hotel staff surreptitiously watched me, whispering about me within earshot. I decided to ignore their comments and found Leo to confront him with the papers. Leo didn't even glance at the documents and tore them up before tossing them in the trash. He casually put his arm around me, saying he would take me home, making me feel like a cat being toyed with in his palm. Leo could be kind one moment and cruel the next. Knowing I had to escape this toxic relationship, I signed the divorce papers and left for a journey to the prairie thousands of miles away. But Leo quickly found me there, pretending affectionately and publicly pulling me into his arms, threatening me with veiled warnings. His previously loving wife had now turned into his captor. Leo hired bodyguards and restricted my movements, and when I tried to seek help by calling the police, they could do little to assist in marital disputes. Leo's busy work schedule kept him away, but when he was around, he could spend hours with me, creating an eerie atmosphere. One day, I found Leo's phone unlocked and discovered a wedding video, revealing that Daisy was not a mistress but Leo's lawful wife, making my marriage a farce. Leo soon found out I had seen the video, but he remained unperturbed, continuing his manipulative ways. Leo's overpowering presence left me feeling helpless and trapped, wondering why he couldn't let me go. With his subtle charm and dominating behavior, he kept me under his control, and even as I resisted, I couldn't break free. One day, an argument downstairs awakened me, and Leo was nowhere to be found. My uncle was on his knees in front of Leo, begging for forgiveness. Tears streaming down my face, I couldn't help but feel emotional at the sight of my uncle, my caretaker during tough times. Leo's ruthless reputation made him show no mercy, even to my uncle. I descended the stairs to witness the confrontation, feeling a mix of emotions as my uncle pleaded for forgiveness, regretting his past actions. But Leo, cold and unyielding, ignored my uncle's pleas and removed him by force. Leo's cruelty towards my uncle, disregarding family ties, showcased his unrelenting nature, leaving me torn between loyalty and self-preservation. Leo used to not hate my uncle. He even gave him money from time to time to help out with his life. But everything changed after my uncle went to Daisy. Leo's hostility towards him became evident. It was like he despised him. I couldn't stop it. All I could do was help my uncle get back up. But Leo wouldn't allow it. He wouldn't even allow that. It was as if he feared I would touch something dirty, so he pulled me forcefully into the room without a word. At that moment, the tension in my heart snapped completely. I went crazy and lunged at Leo, shouting at him with all my might, "Why? If Daisy has you protecting her, can't I have someone protecting me? So what if my uncle went to her? She killed my child, owed me a life. You are an accomplice, Leo, you are an accomplice, and I hate you." My anger surged, and I bit Leo's wrist fiercely. He winced in pain, but remained calm, standing there with intense pain swirling in his dark eyes, as if it was about to overflow. He was always like that, patient and restrained, allowing me to vent my anger. His accommodating demeanor made me feel like an unreasonable madwoman. Until the moment I picked up a piece of ceramic shard, ready to cut his wrist, Leo finally rushed over. His voice choked up as he said, "Diana, what do you want me to do to make you stop?" I glared at him with red eyes. "Call Daisy, make her come here. I want her to kneel down and apologize to Maleo." Never wanted to see the woman he cherished humiliated in front of him. Back in college, Daisy and I didn't have a bad relationship. She didn't like Leo at first. But when she found out I liked Leo, she became more enthusiastic towards him. And her attitude towards me changed drastically. She was Leo's sweetheart, and I was just a low-key admirer of Leo. Daisy didn't need to lift a finger to defeat me completely. Daisy arrived quickly, wearing a pink dress with her long wavy hair cascading down her back, looking smugly at me. "Diana, so much time has passed, why are you still holding on to this? Can you please stop tormenting Leo? Look at yourself, when was the last time you looked in the mirror? Are you even worthy of him?" Daisy started berating me as soon as she entered, and I didn't take it lying down. I grabbed her hair aggressively and stared at her fiercely. "Is this all you're capable of, Daisy? If you want to take my place, you'll have to get Leo to kick me out just like a toy at his beck and call. You are so lowly." Daisy was provoked by my words. She screamed, looked at the phone Leo was on by the window, playing the victim. "Leo, she's trying to kill me. She's so annoying. Why don't you divorce her? She's not worthy of you at all." Leo heard the commotion, hung up the phone, and walked over. Daisy quickly pushed me away and hid behind him. Leo pulled her out from behind him and said, "Kneel down and apologize." "No. Why should I kneel down? Why is it my business? Do it quickly." Daisy was reluctant, but she seemed to obey Leo. Leo asked her to kneel, even if she cried. She obediently kneeled in front of me. She apologized with her head bowed. It was insincere, just for show. As I had expected. Leo, always portraying himself as a loving husband in front of others, holding me tightly in the dead of night, calling out other names. Every moment I spent with Leo made me grind my teeth in regret. I lost my child. A precious life perished at their hands. What good is a half-hearted apology from this woman? My anger flared up, and I slapped Daisy hard across the face. She was much more fragile than I had thought. She fell to the ground, holding her face, glaring at me viciously, as if she wanted to tear me apart. I had no intention of letting her off, but before I could act again, Leo grabbed my arm and pulled me away. He held my shoulders, as if pleading with me. "Diana, enough. I'll take responsibility for everything. He held me tightly, his warm breath constantly brushing against my ear. Daisy looked pleased from behind him. I wanted to say something, but tears uncontrollably streamed down my face at that moment. I cried uncontrollably. Leo's eyes were also red, and he held me while gently patting my back. Don't cry, she kneeled and apologized. What do you want before you can forget about it? Forget? I can never forget. I ignored Leo's attempts to comfort me, so he tried to make me happy in other ways, like buying a large cart of snacks and taking me to an orphanage to visit children without parents. The children's innocent smiles were a healing balm, but they couldn't heal me. Looking at them even made me want to cry, for some inexplicable reason. At night, I couldn't sleep again. Leo sat by the bed, talking to me. He talked about the past, things we did together. He said he took me to many places. We saw the sea and climbed mountains. Strangely, I didn't remember any of that. It was only later when Daisy told me, of course you don't remember, because I was the one who went with him. Thinking about it, only when Daisy was mentioned, Leo's lips would always curve upward. I felt like an observer, listening to their romantic stories. I thought I had become numb, but when Leo spoke tenderly, I unconsciously covered my ears, not wanting to hear another word. I felt sick. My lower abdomen had been hurting for days. Leo found a doctor for me, saying it was a complication from the previous surgery. My condition seemed dire, as the doctors looked at me as if I had a terminal illness. Leo arranged for me to be hospitalized. During my illness, Daisy was also admitted to the hospital. She always found ways to effortlessly take Leo away from me. Instead of feeling trapped without Leo bothering me, I rarely wanted to wander in the yard. I found a sketch in the yard, surprisingly it was of my silhouette. A young man in a white shirt with black short hair covering his eyebrows stood in front of me, with a gentle and polite face. He asked me to return the sketch to him. I found it strange. The person in the sketch was me, why should I return it to him? The young man spoke very little, seemed a bit shy. How could he possibly win against me? So he couldn't get what he wanted, just watched me take the sketch for myself. In the following days, I often saw the young man writing and drawing on a bench in the yard. It seemed that everything he saw could be captured on his canvas, lines dancing, vivid and lifelike. I liked to look at his clear eyes, clean and three-dimensional side profile. He would often smile at me, care about me, even write down what I said. The faint smile in his eyes was like a warm spring sunshine, easily dispelling the thick haze, bathing everything in sunlight. Suddenly, I seemed to remember something. I don't know which day it was, but that day the sun was just right. The young man in the studio turned his head to look at me, a smile shining in his eyes. I hugged him from behind. Is this your graduation piece? He smiled. This one is more meaningful. We can use it when we get married. It's a pink wedding dress with a 10-meter-long train, extremely luxurious. I woke up from my dream. Leo was sitting by the bed watching me. He had Daisy's perfume on him, which made me nauseous. I grabbed the phone next to me and threw it at him, telling him to get out. He refused to leave, so I struggled to get out. Leo asked me who I was going to meet. That's when I realized my sketch was missing. Leo knew everything and he had taken it. He would never give it back to me. I didn't want to argue with him, so I turned and left. He threatened me, saying if I dared to go find him, he would dismember him and bring the pieces to me. I sneered, then kill me too. You're so ruthless, you can definitely do it. I turned to leave, but Leo grabbed my collar and pulled me back. I thought he was going to hit me, but instead, he kneeled in front of me. Diana, I'm sorry. I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you. We will have children together. The nurse who came to check on me saw this scene and covered her mouth in shock. No one wanted to see the powerful Leo kneeling in front of a woman. I also knew that I couldn't bear the humiliation Leo gave me because he always found a way to take it all back. For the next 3 months, he hired specialized doctors to take care of me, giving me medicine, injections, and monitoring my every move every day. While he happily spent time with Daisy, all in the same hospital. I often saw the two of them happily together in the yard. He would cut apples for the woman, drink from her thermos, wrap her in his oversized coat, and sit on the bench watching the sunrise and sunset together, looking like a pair of ethereal lovers. At that moment, I suddenly understood. Leo kept me around purely to torture me. He wanted me to see how happy he was with other women. Maybe he thought it would be boring to torment me with the same methods for a long time. Leo finally stopped the medication for Mayhay, took me to a different city, where he casually started a marital life with me. Numerous nights he held me as we slept, completely in control of me. 3 months later, I became pregnant, fulfilling Leo's wishes. He seemed to know that I didn't want to have a child with him, so he took care of me day and night. Leo always feared losing me in the process, missing the childbirth, so he packed up his bags and left at night. Before leaving, he kissed my forehead and told me not to worry, to take care of the baby. I smiled. I wouldn't worry at all. God knows how much I wished he would die there and never come back. My physical condition wasn't great, and the pain in my pubic bone during the later stages of pregnancy increased every day. Leo left on the same day, and that night, I checked into the hospital. To my surprise, my water broke in the middle of the night, and the pain in my pubic bone almost felt like tearing me in half. My midwife was a chatty woman. She comforted me, saying, "Don't worry, even though you hit me, I promised Leo the first would take good care of you. This is the second time I've given birth, and it's going well, just follow my lead. I really hope you can recover quickly after giving birth, so you can remember who I am. You will definitely regret hitting me." I didn't understand what she meant, but I was in too much pain. The bright surgical light, the familiar delivery bed, the sterile green cloth, and the intense pain in my body made my head ache too. The scene in front of me gradually blurred, and my head hurt as if it was about to explode. Suddenly, I seemed to hear someone singing a lullaby. That voice sounded distant yet familiar. Diana, when faced with extreme stimuli that are unbearable, it's possible for another personality to emerge to escape reality. Look at yourself. How long has it been since you looked in the mirror? Don't you think you look like the person in the video? The woman's voice was so familiar, but I couldn't remember her face. Some fragmented memories rushed into my mind. It seemed like I had actually given birth to a child before. In the first year of marrying Leo, I got pregnant and gave birth to a boy. That year was supposed to be a double blessing. Leo's company was doing well. Our child was fair and tender, with a nose and mouth like mine and eyes like his. The child's giggles could melt one's heart into a puddle of water. On our wedding anniversary, Leo booked the most luxurious hotel in the city. What was supposed to be a happy day turned into a horrific bloody incident. My uncle was my driver. He took me upstairs, and we met some friends on the way. Uncle greeted them with a smile. Later, those men seemed to have their eyes on me. In the dark stairwell, a group of middle-aged men laughing recklessly. They joked that even if you like roadside bitches, you still have to taste it. The stairs kept shaking, blood flowing down my thighs. Falling to the ground, the ringing phone. And the male baby lying face down in the trash can, dead from being dropped. The 1.5-year-old child was already calling for mommy and daddy. Before the child died, he screamed, "Mommy, mommy, hug me." Those who felt he was a nuisance, callously picked him up, one by one, repeatedly. The hard concrete floor made a muffled sound, as if it hit me right in the heart, painfully tearing me apart until the child could no longer cry, could no longer scream. The memories that were blocked out were shattered by time into thousands of pieces, each one clear and sharp, like a knife stabbing straight into my heart. Painful, so painful. My throat felt as if it was being tightly squeezed, the oxygen in my chest being squeezed out bit by bit. No matter how I struggled, I couldn't grasp a shred of vitality. Laughter, bloodstains, the male baby, the constantly ringing phone, the terrifying dark scenes kept rushing into my mind, replaying in a continuous loop. Leo is a very outstanding man. He has the brightest life. The woman standing next to him should be perfect and shining. And then there's the dirty me afterwards. I'm not worthy to stay by his side. I don't remember when I started fantasizing. I kept self-hypnotizing, imagining that those tragic experiences didn't happen to me. Imagining that Leo fell in love with someone else and abandoned me. I gradually separated the me who fell in love with Leo from my body. But deep down, I still couldn't bear to leave him. I seemed to have mixed up the memories. Leo would always spend Valentine's Day with me no matter how busy he was. When I had period cramps, he made me sweet soup, worried so much that he couldn't sleep, and massaged my stomach. During my internship in college, I was assigned to a real estate company to sell houses. Leo bought a house for us with his own money to help me achieve my goals, and as a real estate agent, I earned the first bucket of gold in my life. I wasn't just a humble admirer, I was someone Leo pursued through hardships. We had many beautiful memories together. But everything changed after that event. My health deteriorated, and my memories became very confused. I often imagined scenes that never actually happened, piecing together images from my shattered memories. For example, the boy drawing in the hospital, he was actually my psychiatrist. I used to stare at him when I fell ill, even mistaking my medical records as sketches, which eventually led Leo to fire him. In those fantasies, sometimes I was the protagonist, sometimes a supporting character. I often blamed Leo for things he didn't do. Daisy was my old name. After my parents abandoned me, I followed my uncle and changed my name to Diana. When I married Leo, I wore a pink wedding dress. Actually, it was personally designed by Leo. Diana is a self-conscious and conflicted personality. Doctors call this condition dissociative identity disorder, a type of mental illness. I blame myself for not protecting my child. I look down on my post-incident self. I hope Leo doesn't want me, but deep down I can't bear the thought of him loving someone else. The two personalities are contradictory, and the fragmented memories are blurred and chaotic. Many things I remember, she doesn't, and the things she remembers, I don't. The only thing we have in common is that we both love Leo very much and despise each other extremely. Leo took me to many places to help me recover. The two personalities cannot coexist. Sometimes Leo even had people come to pretend to be Daisy to let me vent. For example, the woman who knelt in front of me and got slapped twice by me was actually my OBGYN. She has been taking care of my body for years, giving me the chance to conceive again. She is the closest person to me besides Leo. Leo never gave up on me. He has consulted numerous top psychiatrists for Mayhay, who never believed in gods, prayed to countless deities for my early recovery. As I lay in the hospital room, the images in my mind gradually became clear. Leo tightly held my hand. His voice was hoarse, with a hint of restrained crying. "Honey, wake up. Look, our child is back. Look at him. Please open your eyes, okay? As long as you wake up, I promise you anything, even to die." I felt my eyelids so heavy, it took a lot of effort to open them. Leo hadn't slept well for who knows how long. His eyes were extremely red. When he saw me wake up, he started to smile, and he looked the best when he smiled. I asked him, "Did you really go to pray for an amulet?" He shoved a bunch of amulets into my palm and said, "I prayed for them when you were first pregnant. When our child is a month old, we'll go to make an offering, okay?" I was puzzled. "If you already prayed, why did you go again?" He laughed, "Because you wanted me to go." Leo has always been very smart. He understands me better than I understand myself. Maybe he had seen through my plan a long time ago, but didn't expose me. Of course, he wouldn't do as I wished and really die. That's not something a smart person like him would do. "Leo, you're really silly." "I'm not silly. If I were, I would have lost you a long time ago." Leo held my hand and patted it. "Our days will only get better. Our son and I will wait for you to recover. You can treat me however you want, but you absolutely won't lay a hand on our son, right?" Looking at the joyful tears in Leo's eyes, I wanted to cry again. I said, "Leo, you deserve a better woman. I don't deserve you anymore. I will always be a stain in your life." He grabbed my hand even tighter. "Diana, people only live once. Hold on to what you like. Those who hurt you have already paid a painful price and are long gone. Our son must have avenged us down there, or he wouldn't have taken so long to come find us. Look, he looks so much like Babe. Do you want to touch him? Let's start over. No matter what the future holds, I will be with you. The child in Leo's arms, the child smiling at me. I couldn't help but cry. Really, our child is back, he's back. The sunset outside the window was so beautiful. Leo will always remember his and Diana's first wedding anniversary. That day he booked the most expensive hotel in the city. However, after setting everything up, he found that his wife who should have appeared had not arrived yet. Leo knew his wife was a little fussy before going out, and didn't allow him to rush her, so he waited patiently, carefully sending messages. Honey, you're beautiful even without makeup, I love anything you wear. I miss you, come quickly. Leo sent several messages in a row, but no one responded. So he waited patiently for a while, and finally couldn't help but call. But no matter how many times he called, there was no answer. Instead, his uncle, who promised to bring his wife, trembling, came to him. Leo remembered that his uncle was shaking all over as he spoke. Leo, something big happened. I'm sorry, I couldn't protect them. That day, as the sunset was blood red, the sirens blared. That day, Leo picked up his daughter and rushed to the hospital like crazy. On the day of the child's burial, Diana was still unable to get out of bed. Leo held the small urn, looking at Diana, who was numb and unwilling to look at him again. He begged, Diana, say goodbye to our child. Let him hear Mom's voice one last time, he must want to hear it. Was Leo not sad? He carried a heavy burden in his heart. But he knew he absolutely could not fall. In those dark years, Leo often held Diana's hand, repeatedly saying, Diana, do you remember our wedding vows? I said, I vow to take you as my wife, in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health. No matter what you become, I will love you faithfully and take care of you for the rest of my life.